Before we begin this podcast, please be advised that the following episode contains language that some listeners may find offensive and inappropriate. The opinions expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not reflect the views of the podcast producers. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Voices of a Killer, and this episode focusing on Jeremiah Searles from Denver, Missouri. When we last left off, Jeremiah had described his tumultuous childhood, which led him to short stints in prison. Now we rejoin the story where Jeremiah has just rekindled his relationship with Melissa Chapman, and what follows will truly shock you on this episode of Voices of a Killer.
So she says yes to marriage. Did y'all ever get around to doing that?
Actually, no, we never went to the actual courthouse and got marriage license. We had set a couple of dates, and for whatever reason that got pushed back. And the intention was to get married.
Whenever you're with her, besides this actual crime, did y'all ever have some really big falling out where people arrested, cops called, or abuse?
Yeah, so it's like 5 months before the murder, I was arrested on March 23rd, 2020 for domestic assault. It was an argument I had just found out she was screwing around on me with her ex-husband, and a fight happened between us. It was just a screaming match. It wasn't like a physical fight. And she started to pack up her van with all her most valuable stuff. I snatched her phone away from her, and when I did that, she turned her head and kind of hit the ridge of her nose on the door of the refrigerator, and I got arrested for assault.
Did she claim that you? 3 months. Did she go through the whole process claiming that you actually hit her and not an accident?
She started to create a story, a lie, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and eventually she went and told him that she had told a story, a lie.
Oh, wow!
She testified at one of my preliminary hearings that she had lied. And the next court hearing, they had lowered my bond from $100,000 cash to where I could afford it at $10,000. And I made bond.
You bond out, go straight back to her?
I was out on bond with stipulations where I couldn't be around her.
Right.
So I had registered my parole. my
like pre-trial stuff.
The supervision.
Yeah,
the supervision to a certain address, and we would sneak around. We'd go to different places, different hotels in Iowa. But I was out on bond when the murder happened.
Okay. So you're out on bond, and you're supposed to be basically going up to trial for abusing her. And she's basically said, hey, that's not what he's doing, but you still got the charges pending and you're out on bond?
Yes.
What kind of, from the time that you get out on bond, the time this murder occurs, how much time was it?
Less than 60 days.
Okay. So a few months. What do y'all do in that few months? Just jumping around, hiding from?
Well, I had a stepsister who had some property up in the Denver area, which is just the next county over in Gentry County.
And just to be clear, Denver, Missouri, right?
Denver, Missouri, yeah. It's a tiny here town. I think it's like 200 people population, or smaller even.
Yeah.
So they had a little corner property there. It had a trailer on it, and had electricity, running water. During
this, few months, did y'all ever have another big falling out besides the murder?
No.
Melissa and Jeremiah's relationship, passionate, was fraught with tension. There were accusations of infidelity, feelings of betrayal, and growing paranoia on Jeremiah's part. He struggled with controlling his emotions, often turning to aggression as a way to manage his fear of abandonment. What began as a romantic reconnection soon spiraled into something darker. Jeremiah was arrested in March 2020 for domestic assault, an event that might have served as a warning sign for what was to come. The charges against him were serious: kidnapping, domestic assault, and abuse or neglect of a child. What's particularly disturbing is the level of violence described in the probable cause statement: grabbing Melissa by the throat, threatening to kill her and even harming her young son in the process. You have to wonder, was this the moment where everything started to unravel? Did the assault set the stage for the murder that would follow just months later? Melissa had bruises on her neck, arms, and face, and her son had injuries as well. What effect did these moments of terror have on Melissa, and did she feel trapped in this volatile relationship, unable to escape? Could Jeremiah have walked away when things became too toxic, or was he so consumed by the idea of control that he couldn't bear to lose Melissa, no matter the cost?
So the day of this murder, what time of day was it? Morning, afternoon, evening?
So the day of the murder was a huge fight.
Okay. And when was this? Did the huge fight start in the morning time?
Yeah.
What was the fight about?
So after she had told me a few months ago, which started the fight that sent me to the jail. So I had always had been real paranoid ever since then. So I would want to check her phone a lot. And I'd find suspicious stuff on her phone, and I'd quiz her on it. I'd ask questions, and I just wanted to know everything. And so that was what we were fighting about, because I had just discovered that she was still in contact with a couple of her other exes.
Let me ask you a question.
In Iowa.
Did she ever confess to actually cheating, or she denied it all the way?
She did. She actually did. So
did what?
Murder,
denied all the way or confess?
She denied it all the way until the day of the murder. And I told her, listen, I loved her and I wanted her to tell me everything. Don't hold back anything, and we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. Well, she told me and confessed a lot of different cheating on me and a few different other things that she had tried to do.
So hold on, let's slow down a little bit. So I guess this is in a big heated argument. You're basically what? Yeah. Tell me who you've cheated on. I want to fucking know. Something like that.
Yeah, we're in the truck and we're hitting the back roads. We're just driving on the back roads and going gravel roads.
Yeah. Had y'all been fighting? Had y'all been fighting all day?
For at least probably about 4 or 5 hours when this happened.
And it's all about her cheating?
Yes. Yep.
So whenever you're driving down the road and
and they have them other charges still pending over in Harrison County for the assault.
Yeah.
I'm only out on bond.
Yeah, I understand.
So there's a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And anger from that, because I'm facing a life sentence over there for these assaults.
Yeah, you're pissed off because she just put you in a situation and then turned around. Did she really hit her head whenever those charges happened?
That's absolutely what happened. Yeah.
Okay, and then let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. You said at the very end, the day that she was killed, that she said that she did cheat. Do you think maybe you scared her into saying that she did?
No, I absolutely believe she did.
So what time of night is it that your guys driving around and you're basically drilling her about whether she cheated or not?
It's the daytime.
Daytime?
It's about 11:30 in the morning.
Is this an emotional thing for her? She's crying and everything?
Yeah, well, see, I'm out on bond, so we're not allowed to have contact.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
I'm driving in a different vehicle, and she's following me.
Oh.
My probation is my bond is registered in Missouri, so we'd go up into Iowa, these little towns in Iowa, we were in motel rooms, and she'd be in the van, and I'd be in the car. So
gotcha.
when we came back to Missouri that day, we were out on an old piece of property that my family used to live on when we were younger, but the house burnt down.
Yeah.
It was just out in the middle of nowhere, and we would stop there, and that's when I quizzed her. And so during this...
Are you yelling at her?
Yeah.
You don't think that maybe you just scared her? Because you know how like police will interrogate somebody and they'll just keep doing it. And finally they're just like, yeah, man, I killed him. And when they really didn't, do you feel like you did that to her?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Well, from your perspective, it may be, very difficult to understand that. But you know what I'm talking about when police do that?
I do understand what you're saying.
I mean, obviously I wouldn't
really considered that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that I don't want to say that.
Sure. We'll never know because it's all subjective, but that's a possibility. So where were you guys? Were you in separate vehicles? Where are you on this property whenever she finally said, yes, I cheated on you?
Yeah. Yeah. So we had pulled over on this property and I was in front of her and she pulled in behind me and we got out of the vehicles and it's secluded. we're talking, and I have a few questions. And I had kind of said a prayer when we turned off the blacktop and onto that gravel road. And she was following me. I had phoned her and told her to follow me in there. And so we're still even arguing in different vehicles on the phone back and forth when we're not together.
Right. But you get out at the proper.
In there, and I said like a little prayer, and I asked God to kind of stop me from doing what I was about to do.
Wait a second now. So you're already thinking about hurting her before you get out of the vehicle at the property?
Yes.
Did you hear about, she told you over the phone that she did cheat?
Yes. Yeah.
And what was running through your head? I mean, like, as far as like, you know, like you were pissed off. You were very,
was more shattering.
Yeah. Well, you were, do what?
The person she told me that it was the persons.
Oh.
Multiple people.
Multiple people.
That's what made it hurt more.
It felt like somebody had just stabbed you in the gut, huh?
Yeah, the betrayal was like devastating.
Did that, whenever she told you that and that hurt started, did it just turn into complete anger, like you just wanted to kill her?
Yes.
At this point in their tumultuous relationship, Jeremiah was out on bond, having been charged just months earlier with kidnapping and domestic assault against Melissa. But instead of complying with the conditions of his bond, which required no contact with her, the two of them continued their relationship in secret. Their trips to Iowa were an attempt to evade the legal restrictions placed on them. The purpose behind these secretive getaways was clear. Jeremiah and Melissa sought to escape the watchful eyes of the authorities, staying in various hotels and rural locations in Iowa to hide from the conditions of Jeremiah's bond. In the interview, Jeremiah admits to a growing paranoia during this time, constantly checking Melissa's phone for signs of infidelity, further fueling the tension between them. But this raises a critical question. Was Melissa let down by the justice system? Despite the serious charges against Jeremiah, including domestic assault and even harm to her young child, he was granted bond and remained free while awaiting trial. Did the court system fail to adequately protect Melissa from the escalating danger that Jeremiah posed? Should stricter supervision or a denied bond have been enforced, considering the violent nature of his past behavior? We dig deeper into the cause of this argument on that fateful day, after the break.
So, Jeremiah, you're basically feeling like your world is coming to an end because the person you love has hurt you. You said you started thinking about, hurting her before you even get out of the car at the property. I just wanted to know, like, what are some of the ways you started thinking? You were just going to start punching her? Did you have a gun?
Well,
what are the ways you're going through your mind?
So I thought Missy had seizures, so I thought that I didn't have a weapon. I was going to punch her, and then when it got knocked out, I was going to take a rock and I was going to hit her in the head with it. That's how I was going to kill her.
Did you think whenever you were thinking all this that you were going to kill her and not care if you got caught, or this was going to be something you tried to like really hide and get away with it?
Well, I was hoping that I could make her disappear and she wouldn't show up for the court hearings and they would dismiss everything.
Gotcha. So do you think that was a little bit part of killing her too, instead of that,
and I had planned on killing myself at that point.
Okay, so this was going to be a murder-suicide?
Yes.
How would you do that? Because you don't have a weapon there. Can't hit yourself with a rock.
Not there. So one of the people that she had cheated on with, I was going to kill Missy.
You were going to kill that person?
So Missy is Melissa. That's what I call her.
Yeah.
I would kill my wife.
Right.
And then I would drive to where this other guy lived,
Uh-huh.
and I was going to kill him, and then I was going to shoot myself in the head.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that one of the guys that she had slept with, that's the one that really, really got to you. Why one over the other?
Best friend.
Oh, your best friend.
It was my best friend. It was the one that I spent time with every day. I let him come to my home every day.
So he was close to her.
Yeah.
Did you?
I felt about her like we would confide in each other in different things, and he'd gone through a divorce.
Sure. So you were hurt by both of them.
Yeah.
What does your friend or ex-friend, I would assume, does he know that you wanted to kill him?
I don't know. No, I didn't actually make like a call and make a threat or nothing like that. Like,
so he But what I'm saying is he has no idea that you actually maybe kind of had a hit out on him of your own, kind of in your head.
I'm sure he was suspicious.
Yeah.
From me being in jail, he was, that first time that I bonded out on, he was screwing around with my wife that whole entire time too.
If he heard
So
this, do you think he would know it was him you're talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
What would you tell him right now if he was hearing this?
You want to know his name?
Yeah.
Zachary Mullins.
And if he was hearing this, what would you want to tell him?
That I really love her.
You still love her?
Sure. I still have a lot of hate too. But
Very hurt.
I definitely love her. It's the biggest mistake of my entire life.
You know, it's strange how, this is not what we would call abnormal. There's a lot of people that get angry whenever their heart gets broken, and that I could tell that's what it is here. It's just a shame that, violence didn't have to occur.
I went back to the body after I hit her. I'm jumping ahead. I went back to the body 3 different times.
So you get out of the vehicle and she gets out of the vehicle at this place and it's secluded, right?
Yeah.
Is she looking like she's scared of you, or she just thinks she's there to talk with you?
She knows I had been crying. She'd been crying. We've been arguing all the way from the hotel that we were in up in Mount Air, Iowa.
Does she think that maybe violence is about to happen?
No, I think she had me fixed. So she controlled me with sex. So that's what I had a lot of suspicion over our relationship, that she would screw around on me, but then she'd always say I was overreacting, and she would polish it over with sex.
Right.
A sexual act.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of I was like her little puppet. I don't know.
You were highly in love with her, so her giving you sex was got you close to her.
A strong control over me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that day, I don't think she thought she was in imminent danger. No.
Right. So what did you do whenever you first got out and saw her? Did you just immediately start yelling at her, or what's the first step?
We were talking. I was asking her questions. I told her to tell me everything, and she started telling me stuff that I couldn't handle.
Did she look like she cared that she cheated on you, or she just like telling you and said, It
was kind of, at this point, it was a matter of fact.
Kind of just get over it.
I never put my hands on her in my life. Yeah. I was always the one that was like, she had been in a lot of abusive relationships, and I was the one that wasn't never going to hit her.
Right.
And so she had that confidence she could share.
How long did the talking last and the questions?
Maybe about 5 minutes.
And what was the next step after 5 minutes?
She told me some stuff I couldn't handle.
What was that?
One being that her and Zach were going. So I had put Melissa down. It was Melissa, me, her, and her 2 younger boys. They were 10 years old. He had autism, and then that 12-year-old boy.
What about him?
That was our family. That's
okay.
I jumped ahead.
That's okay. So
what was I saying?
Well, the 5 minutes, you talked for 5 minutes, and then she told you something that.
Oh, so I put Melissa down at work as a beneficiary
to
a life insurance policy on me.
Mm-hmm.
And she had told me that her and Zach had actually tried poisoning me. And I had gone to the emergency room a couple of times prior to me going to jail the first time. And the conclusion was that it was just food poisoning. But she had admitted to me at this time, right before the murder, that it wasn't food poisoning, so that her and Zach were trying to kill me to get the insurance policy.
So most people. That was
one of the things that
Yeah. So most people, I would think that immediately I would go, "What did you give me?" Did you ask him that?
Yeah, it was poison from the farms. We work out on the commercial
like fertilizer stuff.
It was fly poison.
Yeah,
so, and it killed billions of flies a day. The chicken farm produced billions and billions of flies.
So if this, if this really occurred, then this guy that you mentioned earlier, your ex-friend, he was part of trying to kill you, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and they were going to have a relationship, and he was eventually going to manipulate her out of, just because I know his personality, manipulate her out of everything and move on and do it to someone else.
So, well, here's the thing. It's really kind of hard to grasp somebody being told they're cheating and they admit it, and then they just go ahead and admit, yeah, we were also going to kill you and take your life insurance. That almost sounds like it's like, why would she give that information up?
I told her I would quiz her about certain things. I had always been really suspicious after the very first time me discovering that she would lie to me and betray me by sleeping with her ex. That was the fight before I went to jail, remember?
Yeah.
And so I would over-ask questions, and my mind has always been programmed to like get all the information I can.
Would you call yourself
feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Made her feel comfortable enough to share things with me.
I understand. Would you say that you were controlling boyfriend?
So she didn't have to work. I preferred her staying at home unless we were together.
Well, yeah, but that may be part of controlling, keeping her home. That's not really a question. Do you, as you look at yourself in that relationship, do you think you were controlling?
I think I was the sole breadwinner in the relationship. So I felt like I was in that power position.
As Jeremiah recounts his relationship with Melissa, he tries to paint a picture of himself as someone who wasn't controlling, someone who simply loved her deeply and wanted to protect her. He speaks about how he preferred that Melissa stay at home, suggesting that he believed it was for her own good, to shield her from the challenges of work and the outside world. To him, these actions may have seemed caring, even selfless, but the reality is quite different. The control was subtle but undeniable. Jeremiah's need to check Melissa's phone, to constantly question her about her whereabouts, and to demand explanations for her interactions with others are classic signs of possessive behavior. In his mind, these actions were justified. They were a way to keep the relationship intact, to prevent the betrayal he feared. But what he failed to acknowledge is that this need for control eroded the trust between them and pushed Melissa into a corner, leaving her with fewer and fewer options. Melissa was also supposed to testify against Jeremiah in court for those earlier assaults, yet here she was, still caught in the cycle of fear, manipulation, and control. By continuing the relationship in defiance of the bond conditions, was she trying to maintain hope that things might change, or was she simply trapped by fear, unsure of how to truly escape? As they traveled together to Iowa, their relationship was teetering on the edge. The question now isn't just about Jeremiah's actions, but whether the system that was meant to protect Melissa from those actions ultimately failed her. Could this tragic end have been prevented if Jeremiah hadn't been released on bond? Could more stringent measures have saved Melissa's life? We'll find out the answers to that and what really happened on that day on the next episode of Voices of a Killer.
If you want to find out what happens next, right now, you can sign up at patreon.com/voicesofakiller. There you can find bonus content, early access, ad-free listening, and access to our chat community. So go to patreon.com/voicesofakiller to sign up now. Your support is what keeps us passionate about bringing these stories to you. That's a wrap on this episode of Voices of a Killer. A big shout out to Sonic Futures, who handled the production, audio editing, music licensing, and promotion of this podcast. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, make sure to visit our website at voicesofakiller.com. There you can find previous episodes, transcripts, and additional information about the podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback helps us improve and reach new listeners. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to share more stories with you in the future. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Toby, and we'll see you next time on Voices of a Killer.